Thank you, Aaron. Before I begin, I'd like to say what an incredible event this is that all my classmates have put together, and my English teacher, Ms. Zender. Can we please have a round of applause for that? And before I reintroduce myself, oh, hold on. Where's the little clicker thing? Can I please have that? Sorry about this. Yeah, he does. Thank you, guys. Okay, well, before I reintroduce myself.
Very comfortable from North Carolina. Him at the line, but he misses.
Yep, 1 out of 2. Duke can win with a 3, send it to overtime with a deuce.
They don't need timeouts.
Plumlee sets the pick. Rivers on his own. Yes, that's the buzzer! The Blue Devils win, 85-84. And the Doc is so happy he had an off night. What a finish.
That's just a guy making a play right there.
Now, there might be some of you out here in the audience who really enjoyed that video. And there are some of you who are cringing just thinking about that moment when you found out, or when you were watching. And then there are another number of you out there who really just didn't care about the video. So let me reintroduce myself. My name is Matt Jones. I'm a 12th grade student here at Voyager Academy High School. And I'm going to talk to you guys today not only about how fantastic the Duke-North Carolina rivalry is, not only just like how competitive and how happy it is to be a part of it, but how special it is and how happy these two teams are to have each other. The culture that these two teams have created here in the Raleigh-Durham area is phenomenal, and it's a world created within itself. Now, a little history about these two schools. The first time Duke played was in about 1906, and North Carolina was about 1904. So they've been playing basketball for over 100 years. So some success that each school has had. They each have 2+ Hall of Fame coaches and countless Hall of Fame college Hall of Fame players. Roy Williams for Duke for North Carolina is the current head coach, and Dean Smith, who is number 4 all-time, I believe, for all-time wins, are 2 of the retired coaches for North Carolina. And then Coach Krzyzewski, who is the current head coach for Duke right now in his 34th season, and Vic Bubas, who is another head coach for Duke. Coach Krzyzewski is the number 1 division men's leader in all-time wins, and we're going for 1,000 this year. So some success each program has had. North Carolina has 5 national championships, to Duke's 4. And they each have 1,000+ wins, like I said earlier, and have been to the Final Four countless times. Each team produces countless NBA players, at least 1 or 2 every single year, and it's amazing to watch them. Some pretty impressive players who have gone to UNC, a guy by the name of Michael Jordan. I believe he did pretty good when he was in the NBA. Vince Carter, who is still in the NBA, who's just an amazing basketball player. And then players from Duke like Grant Hill, J.J. Redick, the list goes on and on for each team. So I'm sure most of you have all heard of the Duke-North Carolina rivalry, the battle for Tobacco Road. It's something that's really been a part of my life for a long time, ever since I was really introduced to Duke in North Carolina. Duke is kind of the invaders from the north, as some people might say. It's a really prestigious school. And then North Carolina is a state school. It's the oldest state-funded school in the country, and these 2 teams just have every single reason to go against each other. So the first 2 times these 2 teams met was in 1920. It was February 1920. It was almost 95 years ago. And there wasn't really too much animosity, besides they were only 8 miles down the road from each other. And then it kind of evolved over time, and the ACC was created. They went back and forth. They constantly were battling for the title. And then the first true time there was animosity was when this #1 high school player in the country from New York was about to go sign his letter of intent at Chapel Hill to go to UNC. His name is Art Heyman, and his father got in disagreement with the coach. There was just like a minor fight, and he decided to go right down the road to Duke and play for Coach Bubis. So there was this game in the 1961 where it was kind of like a game that we'd have today with Duke, North Carolina, just a lot of elbows thrown, a lot of pushing, a lot of hard fouls, no easy layups, make you earn the points at the free throw line. And so when a guy on North Carolina named Larry Brown, who is actually a Hall of Fame coach now for a different school, that's beside the point, went up for a layup, Art Heyman fouled him really hard, and then a fight ensued for about 10 to 12 minutes to get everyone off the court. The benches were cleared, people from the stands were coming in, everyone wanted to fight because it was just such a hostile environment. And ever since then, this rivalry has never been the same. There have been so many different events in this rivalry that we can all still think of off the top of our head. I mean, just, you can see Eric Montross right there. People still ask him to this day, like, what happened with the bloody Montross game? There's the picture of him with the cut underneath his eye, and a spider of blood on the back of his neck, and it just shows how competitive this rivalry is every single year. I mean, you have to earn it, and it's just such a beautiful thing to watch. The most recent event where a really bad incident happened was when guard Gerald Henderson broke Tyler Hansborough's nose. Tyler Hansborough was the star of North Carolina at the time. Duke was down by a few points. A lot of emotions went on through that event, and it was truly the last time where something really bad has happened. It was a lot of fun. So something that is amazing about this rivalry as well as the fans. UNC fans are very, very dedicated. Duke's fans are very, very dedicated. And each stadium has its own benefits. Duke plays in a place called Cameron Indoor Stadium, which seats almost 10,000 seats. At the time it was built in the early 1900s, it was the third largest auditorium in the country, and now it's one of the smallest college basketball places. And the guys by the name of Cameron Crazies are Duke's fans, and they're known for heckling all players, Carolina players especially, but whoever comes into Cameron Indoor is going to remember it the rest of their lives. A guy who used to coach me named Melvin Scott, who used to work at this school, or still works at this school, told me a story about when he was playing for North Carolina. He went out there, and the weirdest thing he ever heard was when he was in layup lines, and he went back, and he hears his phone number shout out from the Duke fans, and he was like, what? So that was a real interesting moment for him, I'm sure. So the dedication that some of these Duke fans have is pretty impressive. It's so hard to get tickets at these games because it only seats almost 10,000, and the student section is even smaller. And so these students have been known to camp out, and so this little name for where they camp out in front of the ticket booth, it's called Krzyzewskiville. The sign's still there. You can go see it now. And it's really interesting to think that these parents are paying $60,000 a year for their kids to go sleep in a tent in this weather that we're having right now. That would not be any fun. But that's just how competitive it is to get these tickets. So when you're a Duke or a North Carolina fan, you can have the highest of the highs and you can be the lowest of the low. I mean, I can remember, my mom will tell you, when Duke loses to North Carolina, I used to bawl. I used to be done. It was just kind of like, I don't want to be here anymore. I want to go be by myself. It's just that's how competitive and that's how dedicated a lot of the most passionate fans are in this rivalry. Although these teams have been fierce rivals for a very long time, a moment where we could come together as a community and together as one and put all our differences aside was in 2007, 2008-ish time when student body president for North Carolina, Eve Carson, died. There was a very beautiful moment of silence before the game at Cameron Indoor where they could just put their differences aside and they could just respect the life of Eve Carson. That was a really beautiful moment. And I remember watching it. I remember thinking that's one community right there. That's not two different things. Although it is really interesting to think that two communities 8 miles apart can be so different. So, like I just said, the two schools 8 miles from each other. It's just amazing to imagine that these school's so competitive on the basketball court and other fields it's just amazing to watch. It makes me speechless to think how it can create such a beautiful, I'm stuttering right now, sorry about that. And it creates a world within itself of how competitive these two teams are. Thank you for listening to my speech. My name is Matt Jones.